Great to have Jonathan Cain, keyboardist for Journey, with us on the line.
Hey, good to be with you, Tigman.
Yeah, this is great. You have a new memoir out I want to talk about, which is great. You've had an interesting life and an interesting career, which I want to talk to you about in just a bit. And, of course, the tour. Journey going out with Def Leppard again. You've toured together before. You're going out on this massive tour, which kicks off this Monday in Hartford, Connecticut. That's May 21st. You'll be in the Capital Region at the Times Union Center in Albany on Wednesday. That's the second day of the tour. You looking forward to getting back out with the guys in Def Leppard?
Definitely. They're on their A game right now. I saw a few of the shows from recent YouTube postings, and they sound great, look great. They wrote great songs. It's all about the great songs, and the evening is going to be a tribute to what a great song sounds like. Because between the two of us, we probably have sold over 200 million units.
It's insane.
So song is the king. Rock and roll or whatever. They're all great songs, and that's why we're still here. We wrote some pretty good songs.
You sure have. Let's talk about that. Nearly 40 years with Journey, and you've written some great songs. How about writing one of the biggest rock songs of all time, helping write Don't Stop Believin'? How's that feel, Jonathan, to have written one of the biggest classic rock songs ever?
It's humbling, and you're honored, and also there's responsibility to representing our class, sort of like in a good light. And, the kids look up to you. You become a role model. Part of the reason I wrote this book is for encouragement, and anybody that has a dream, I'm proof that it's possible. Anything is possible. If you can dream it, you can do it. And, so it is, you dream about writing a song like that, and because we dreamed, we were blessed with, that honor, and it's no accident when you reach for the stars. You're about to get something pretty good.
We're speaking with Jonathan Cain from Journey. You're going out on the road. Does the road ever get tired to you, or do you still enjoy going out there and doing these big tours?
Yeah, it's pretty much an honor to go out there. They set the stage. You got 75 guys out there busting their hump for you. It's all laid out. All we have to do is show up. We have a great crew. We have great guys. They do all the grunt work. So it makes our job really easy. And now the technology is so great. The PAs are better. The inner monitors are a blessing. The halls sound good. We stay at nice hotels. We have a plane.
It's a good life, right? It's a good life.
It's okay. It still has. You're away from home. You got to pick up anchor. But we've done it so many times. We're good at putting the anchor down when we get somewhere. So I think that's what I told Arnel when he joined the band. You got to learn to pick up your anchor.
There you go. That's great advice.
And learn to drop it when it's time to drop it.
That's it.
Get grounded somewhere.
Yep, you got it.
Even if it's a couple days, And so the great way to tour these days is you hub, and you're able to hub in one city. So we get to sleep in the same bed for 3-4 days, Much better than rolling around in a bus.
Oh, absolutely.
We're blessed.
Speaking of honors, Jonathan, last year, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, how did that feel to you? Was it important to you? And was it nice to reconnect with Steve Perry, with the band? How did that night feel to you?
Yeah, it was special. I realized the fans had made it happen, and those fans that are listening, Journey fans, thank you for your support and your vote. It meant a lot to us to go in as #1 voted band. It was funny. It's why I saw how the book was going to begin when I stood on the stage that night, and I saw how the book was going to end. And I had been working on it, wondering, what was going to be the best way to start. And I was standing in the midst of it,
Right.
So the reader who buys my book, I actually take them there, and what I was thinking. It's all in Don't Stop Believin', my memoir, and all the flashbacks, from the time I was in the band, all 37 years of it, and actually the time that I learned how to play an instrument.
Yeah, let's talk about the book, Jonathan. Don't Stop Believin', the man, the band, and the song that inspired generations. You talk about your upbringing in Chicago, having a fiddle-playing grandfather, who I assume you looked up to and led you into getting into the music field.
Yeah, it was one of the first musical conversation I'd been privy to, and we're talking about Ozark Appalachian fiddler. This guy could, play like Charlie Daniels, and
That's
he
awesome.
was, having this conversation with his friends out in the backyard. And I thought, man, I want to learn how to do that.
Right.
I didn't think by any stroke I would get the violin in my hands, but I did end up, getting his violin, the same one that I saw when I was 4 years old, given to me from my relatives, and it was a great story how it came to me. And I had it restored, and I learned how to play a few hillbilly songs on it, and I have a blast with it, But I have my great grandpa's fiddle. Yes, sir.
How great is that to have? What a keepsake. That just must mean the world to you.
Again, I dreamed somebody give it to me, and then I dreamed it happened, and it just fell out of somebody's closet in Little Rock, and I'm grateful to Bill Anhalt and his family for that.
Now, how long you been working on this memoir?
Probably a good 10 years. I started as kind of a dare. Russ Valerie dared me to write a book. I was telling him all these stories about growing up in Chicago and all, and he's like, "You got to write a book." And then I ran into this book Stephen King had written called On Writing, and it's a little skinny book for anybody that thinks they have a book. It's a good book to pick up because he says everybody has a book in them, at least one book. And when I read that, I was like, okay, I'm going to start. So as I started on my laptop, I realized I didn't have any idea what I was doing. But I got the facts down, I got down, and what amazed me was all I could remember and how fresh it all was in my head. I seemed like I was really paying attention to the smallest detail in my life, going way back to when I was, 4 years old. I can remember all the way back there. So pretty neat. And, just to trace your footsteps and look at the patterns and look at what you did right and what you did wrong. But certainly Chicago was a great upbringing for me. I think anybody that is born there automatically gets something like New York. You're born in New York. New York gives you something special. And I feel the same way about Chicago, the other coast.
Sure. Now, is there any big revelation in this book, Jonathan, that people will, be very surprised to hear about?
There are a lot of stories that, I don't want to give them away. I reveal some things. I get asked a lot of questions about certain things, and I wanted to answer, the most asked questions, regarding the band. And certainly it's not an official journey, autobiography by any stroke. It's my take on what I saw in my 37 years with the band, and with the Babies and Bad English, So it's what happened good and what happened not so good. So it's the good, the bad, and the ugly. But the revelation that I come away with is simply this, you're not always who they say you are. In other words, you're uniquely you, and, your gift is there. It's just don't let somebody tell you who you are. And that was kind of what my father instilled in me, And the other thing is, I hope that dads on Father's Day, will pick up this book, or somebody will buy this book for their dad, and he gets fired up to encourage, to, inspire, and to recognize the uniqueness of his children, like my father did for me. He was my role model. And I hope this inspires dads around the world, because my dad mattered, and I think in this day and age, we need to lift up the fathers in the families.
Very well said. I couldn't agree more. Have any of your fellow bandmates read the book? I know the book is out now. Have you heard any feedback from any of the guys in the band? And has there been any hurt feelings or anything?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I haven't heard anything back from Steve Perry's camp, and I doubt if he'd read it, But Neil said it made him smile.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And Ross enjoyed it. And I haven't heard from Steve on it yet. But, I'll get around to getting everybody a copy. I just finished the tour.
The book tour?
Yeah, signing tour, whirlwind, like 8 cities.
How did that work out for you? Was it good?
It was harder than rock and roll.
Really? A lot of signing.
Man. But, you you pay the price for being an author. I'll tell you what.
Sure.
Getting us up at the crack of dawn and catching planes to get to signings and interviews, and it all just flowed out of me. I don't think I tripped up at all because you realize you're representing your life and your kids and a legacy. So I'm happy to get honored by Zondervan and HarperCollins to get the tap on the shoulder saying, hey, we believe in this. So I represent a team same way I do when I play with Journey. And so I already have that down.
Exactly. Pick up the book, Don't Stop Believin', the man, the band, and the song that inspired generations. It's the memoir of Jonathan Cain, keyboardist from Journey. Are you getting along with Neil Schon now? There was talk that you weren't getting along.
We just finished 5 days of rehearsal. I think we've completely reset with each other.
Great.
I'm looking forward to a great tour with him and the rest of the guys. We've been together 38 years. There's always going to be a bump on the road. I don't know any marriage that hasn't had any squabbles.
That's what they always say, Jonathan. Being in a band is like being in a marriage, and I guess it's no truer words than that.
Yeah, it was a misunderstanding, and I think we're ready to move on from all that.
Could you ever see Steve Perry joining it, even for a one-off? Getting back and doing some kind of performance, or you think that ship has sailed?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Steve on that. I really don't know. I was surprised he didn't show up at soundcheck at the Hall of Fame. I thought for sure. I kept looking in the wings to see if he was going to surprise us, and I did. And so that was me. But he didn't. He declined, and I respect him and his private life, and he's been so gracious on all the sync licenses, and he stays involved in and keeping the brand as excellent as it can be, and so he's cooperating, helping our brand and business by approving and really looking at everything that comes down the pike. So I thank him for that, and he's a classy guy. He showed it, at the Hall of Fame. He looked happy.
He did.
Healthy.
He did. Everybody looked happy. It was a really nice night.
So yeah, that's an interview you have to have with him someday, and I hope he continues to make music and sing because that's what he was blessed to do.
What do you think his reasoning was for not performing that night? Do you think he didn't want to disappoint? There's too much expectations, maybe, and he didn't know if he could pull it off? Or
Tig, man, you'd have to ask me.
I got you.
I really can't speak to that, man, because this is a guy who I admire, and I would never try to put answer for him. You would have to ask him that, and I just was happy he came with the gracious manner that he came, and thankful and really proud to be there. So that fulfilled everything for me.
Well, all the fans loved the honor. I mean, it was great to see. It was great to see Steve hug Arnel too.
Yeah. Well, what's fun is that Arnel was hoping he would be able to get a private, just meeting with the guy, and he was walking down the hallway, and Steve pulled him in, and Arnel was the first guy to really have some time alone with him,
Yeah.
And Arnel was just so happy, he came out of there beaming. I remember I talked to Steve Perry. He's in there. I said, how was it? He goes, amazing.
Obviously, Arnel, a huge fan of the band and Steve. So for him to be in the band, obviously he just loves what's going on right now in his career. And I'm sure that was just an amazing feeling for him. Yeah, the pictures were on the internet of them embracing. It was just a really touching moment to see. No,
it was. And, what better guy to sing Don't Stop Believin', but a homeless kid from the Philippines.
Tell me about it.
It's like, we did a show with Jim Axelrod in the CBS Morning Show, and he brought it up. He said, there's nobody on the planet that deserves to sing a song more than this guy with the rough childhood he had to endure. And you want to talk about overcoming some odds, Anybody that's seen that movie, Any Man's Country, the documentary,
yes,
is a good, really shot at what he had to go through, the transition that he had to make, in his life. And I knew it was going to be rough. I told him that from the beginning, but this Filipino filmmaker captured it beautifully. Ramona Diaz, she came from the Philippines to film it, and she heard about Arnel and trying out with us, and she came knocking on our door, and we said, well, I guess I'm glad we did it because, ironically, we don't have any video of Steve and us guys making Escape or Frontiers. There's nothing.
Wow, that's crazy.
Very little, yeah.
Yep.
The only thing we had is, the Frontiers movie, which is out of print now, made by the NFL Films,
Right.
That's really it. It kind of showed us in our daily thing. But we don't like Escape. I would love to have some film and pictures or something to maybe do a special called "The Making of the Escape Album," and we have nothing.
Do you think there's anything out there that people have that it's just locked up somewhere, or is it just non-existent?
No, our studio time was very private, and it's kind of sacred stuff. Maybe that was our manager, really keeping us sequestered and isolated from. It was crazy. I mean, we had our own private, warehouse to rehearse in, and he made sure that everything was secret, and nothing got out there. And he wanted us to have the alone time that we needed. Unlike, my experience with the Babies, where we were at SIR and everybody was running in on us. And, Journey was very much controlled by, a really smart man, Herbie Herbert, back in those days. And he did a terrific job. I mean, we didn't even have an A&R guy, come to hear any music until it was done and mixed,
Wow.
That's how crazy. And it's all in the book. I can't remember. I mean, I can't believe I remembered every little detail, but, if you were a fan of the Escape album, this is a must read.
Hey, Jonathan, who you have in the background there? That's, I hear somebody in the background squawking or something.
That's a bird.
I thought it was.
I'm in paradise out here. I'm in Florida at my ranch.
Beautiful.
And I like coming out here and getting nature going on,
That's awesome. Jonathan, I want to ask you about your, I was a big fan of the Babies back in the day, with you and John Waite, and Bad English, of course. What about doing something with those guys again? Could you ever see Reuniting with any of those two great bands?
Yeah.
I mean, you could still play, obviously, and John Waite can obviously still sing. I mean, it would be great to see.
You'd have to ask John. I can't speak to that either. It's one of those John Waite questions, and he'll probably, give you his answer. He knows where I live, So, and I know the Babies have reformed. Tony, Brock, and Wally have gotten together again, and they're taking it around the horn. And it made me smile to see that. But we have our plate full with Journey, really.
Where do you go from here? Is there a new album in the works, possibly, for the band?
We're going to start writing and looking at it, and seeing what inspiration, where it may lead us. I'm certainly open to it.
Well, Jonathan Cain from Journey, what a pleasure to talk with you today.
Thank you so much, Take Man, for your time.
Absolutely, Jonathan. Pick it up. It's a great read. Don't Stop Believin', the man, the band, and the song that inspired generations. Best of luck with the book and, of course, the tour. Journey going out with Def Leppard. We'll see you on May 23rd here in Albany, the Times Union Center.
Yeah, we'll see you there.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Tig Man. Bye-bye.